Hi everyone, Leda here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm uploading the next part of my endo story video series. Quick disclaimer for you guys, if you don't like period talk or things with female pelvic health makes you a little uneasy or queasy, check out the link below to my channel so you can check out my other videos for makeup or nail art. I have a couple playlists there that you can enjoy. For the rest of you, thank you for tuning in today. I appreciate you being here and listening to my story. In last month's video, I covered information in reference to the whole impact of endometriosis on myself and my family and the effects that it had on my husband and my daughter individually, our journey with IVF, and the fact that I had to start the process for Social Security disability. In 2010, I was speaking with a very dear friend of mine and basically just talking about the difficulties that I was having in my life due to endometriosis. And she was asking me a few questions in reference to, pain and exactly what is endo, it's basically a conversation, an educational conversation about endometriosis. I was explaining to her how difficult it was to get a job because remember in my last video how I was saying, I can't really get a job with endometriosis because I need time off from work for a period so I can be on bed rest. And she had come across a job opportunity. It was a temporary opportunity, but she said because of my background in banking and the mortgage industry, it seemed like it would be a good fit for me. So I went ahead and I sent in the application and I was hired. Everything went pretty well for me and I was hired. And my boss was a phenomenal woman, amazing human being, amazing boss, the best boss I think I've ever had in my life. And, I did explain to her that from time to time, I do have endometriosis and that, these situations happen. But, by this time I had already started developing healthier eating habits, higher levels of activity in my life. And so I was managing my symptoms pretty well. And I didn't need, an 8 or 10 day time frame to be at home on bed rest. It could be anywhere between 2 to 4 days. So she was like, yeah, totally understandable. She was able to work with me and it was just phenomenal. They were very understanding. She was very honest and said, hey, we do need you here, but I understand that you've got the situation. And even though we can run the office with a person missing, down one body, we can work something out, definitely. If it's something that you can kind of see happening ahead of time, let me know. And if it's a situation where you just have to call out in the morning, then don't stress it. We'll work with you. We can make this work. So that was a blessing. Everything was working really well for me at this position. And I was actually looking to see if I could stay full-time or possibly get ahead of the game and leave all my pertinent information saying that I was interested in any future job openings at the company because I loved working there and I was really good at it and it was a great work environment, so flexible and everything. So, towards the end of my contract, I was making those little moves to hopefully make that happen either immediately or for the future. And in November of 2011, my contract was coming to an end for December. But in November, one afternoon after leaving work, I was walking down the stairs with a coworker and she made it down before me. It was a pretty high flight of stairs. And my shoe somehow got stuck on the step. Don't ask me how to explain it because I felt it and she saw it. She was like, "What? Why was your foot stuck?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's not like there's something to actually hold my foot there." So, my shoe got stuck. I couldn't move my leg and therefore I fell forward a pretty long flight of stairs. I ended up having a concussion. I hurt my shoulder, my hip, my knee, just about everything. Basically. And then of course I've re-injured everything that, from my previous accident. And at the time I felt like, man, this seriously sucks because I'm now just starting to get a handle on my life again. I'm being a little more active. I'm choosing to eat a little more consciously. I wasn't cutting out anything like, oh, I'm going gluten-free, or I'm cutting out carbs, or no more red meat, no more bacon. You know, I kind of made a little plan for myself, and it was working really well. And then here comes this new situation, the accident where I fall down the stairs, and I felt devastated because, you know, by this point in my life, battling the depression and the isolation and all the things that I had lived through, it felt like, you know, like a little black cloud was just following me around, and I couldn't get rid of it. I had this whole new set of injuries that now I have to go to physical therapy for. And, you know, my periods at this time, even though in 2010 and the earlier part of 2011, I was getting a decent handle on my health when it comes to the endometriosis, by the end of 2011, my periods were starting to kick my butt pretty intensely, and I was not comfortable. I was starting to need quite a few days in the month for bed rest, and then outside of my monthly cycle, I was having pain like on a regular basis. Even if I had a period or not, it didn't matter. I was having pain almost on a regular basis, and cramps, and just things were just really, really bad. So I remember going to physical therapy after my fall down the stairs situation, and I was complaining about a lot of hip pain. And, you know, the physical therapist was like, oh, this doesn't seem too normal. Let me send you back to the orthopedist. The orthopedist was like, oh, yep, I agree. It doesn't seem all that normal. There's a lot of popping and crunching and clicking and clacking. And we just better make sure that it's not just, you know, muscle sprains, that, you know, you don't have a more severe situation or some sort of fracture. So let's just play it safe, and we'll send you for an MRI. I got the MRI, and the MRI actually showed I had a cyst on my ovary. When the orthopedist got the results back, he was, wow, like you have this pretty substantial size cyst. Are you aware of that? And I was like, no, I did not know I had a cyst. But now that you say that, and me realizing how I've been feeling for the past couple months, I can say that, yes, it's safe to say that it's a cyst. And I'm almost certain that it's an endometrioma. I've been through this before. I know what it feels like. And so I'm going to have to do something about it. And he goes, yeah, you know, take these results and the report to your gynecologist, so you guys could, you know, decide what needs to be done to take care of that cyst. So I do. And, you know, I think maybe within a week or two, I saw my gynecologist, and he looks at the report and everything. He goes, yep, with your history, I think we could say 90% sure that we know it's an endometrioma, and you have to have surgery. A cyst this size and as fast as they grow on you, we got to get rid of it, and we got to get rid of it fast. So very shortly after that, I ended up having surgery. Sometime in mid-January, I had surgery. And I had to wait that long from November all the way to January, because you have to remember I was having the physical therapy, and it wasn't really resulting all that well. And I was having so much pain that just was relentless, not going away. And now that I look back, I realized that the reason that the pain was there was because I was walking in such a guarded position. So I'm not walking in proper posture. And then I've had these injuries, one and two, these two items together, they're going to create a situation in my physical self that is going to be very difficult for me to overcome. So I had the surgery in January. You know, I was doing the physical therapy, went for the MRI, waited for those results. January, have my surgery. And according to the surgical report, the endometrioma was 8 centimeters big, and everything in my pelvic cavity was a mess. My bladder, my uterus, my intestines, and the ovary and the endometrioma were all fused together. And so my doctor had to separate, one organ from the next. And he found that I had a small tear about 4 centimeters in size in on my small intestine. So he had to call in the general surgeon, get him in. And, as time passed and, we reviewed all the information and I looked at the surgical report, this accident was a blessing in disguise. I was able to, prevent the endometrioma from getting any larger, possibly rupturing. Who knows what that could cause for my physical well-being. And my doctor was able to remove the endometrioma and save my ovary. So I was trying to find a silver lining, Funny how everything just made sense, especially after I read the surgical report, because even though it's full with, it's full of medical terminology that I obviously won't know exactly what it means, the fact that I had all that detail explained why I was having all the symptoms I was having, and your body, especially when you're dealing with a chronic illness, you get to know your body in such a way that any little thing, you're like, oh, I know exactly why this is happening. Oh, this is going on because of that reason. So I started feeling all these symptoms and wondering, like, something's wrong. I can't say that I have another cyst because I can't look inside. And in order to find out, I need to go for, an ultrasound of some sort or actually have surgery. And I don't want surgery. So I was struggling with realizing that my symptoms were worsening and in the back of my mind knowing why, but I was in denial. So luckily, had surgery and prevented a bigger issue from happening for me. So that was the good thing out of all of this. Now, recovery from the surgery was very fast. I don't think I ever recovered from surgery as fast as I did with this one. But I have to say that the pain level was excruciating. Holy mackerel. I couldn't believe that this level of pain could exist. And even though I recovered from surgery and, the doctor says, yeah, you're fine, go ahead, become active again, I didn't feel like I could be active. I felt so run down and groggy and disgusting and I was just not well. I was at my follow-up with my doctor and telling him just how I was feeling, what I call periody. Well, I'm not having a period, but I'm a little crampy. He's like, well, you've had surgery, within the past 3 weeks, almost a month, I think it was. And, we know that the endometriosis in your situation is pretty aggressive. Are you going to try IVF again? Are you going to try fertility treatments? And I was like, well, I don't think that that's reasonable at this time because, I couldn't keep the job. I'm out of work again. And even though my husband has this new job and everything's going well, our insurance situation is kind of non-existent right now. He's a new employee. So, he's like, well, you know what? The only thing that I can do at this time to help you is to put you on Lupron. And I recommend that you do go on Lupron, at least to suppress the endometriosis. I know that it's not a cure, but you have to realize that your endometriosis is so aggressive that if we leave it untreated, if you don't go on birth control or do something to control your periods, you're going to end up in the surgery room within 6 months. And obviously that's not something we can allow if you're trying to get pregnant, whether it's now or, down the road. Reluctantly, I agreed. At the time, I felt like it was the reality of my life and it was my only option. So he gave me a 1-month dose. And then he said, go ahead, once you get your insurance information all straightened out, order a 6-month dose and I'll administer that. And we can go on from there. Now, I've got to tell you, the side effects came back with a vengeance. The joint pain, the insomnia, and that the insomnia with a chronic illness or chronic pain is, for me, one of the worst things ever. Because when you're not well, when you're in pain or uncomfortable, you rest so your body can heal and then you can become better and then you can move on with your life. But here I am, suffering from chronic pain and insomnia, so I'm not getting any rest so my body can heal. And I'm still healing internally from surgery. I mean, yeah, my sutures, were out, and the incision site was completely healed, but your body takes extra time to heal internally. So to have experienced the side effects of the Lupron, the joint pain, the insomnia, the night sweats, the hot flashes, the irritability, along with the pain that just never left. I did have surgery to get the endometrioma removed, and things were cleaned up in my pelvic cavity, but the pain never left. I was still in the same amount of pain, if not worse, after surgery. So I feel like those two things, and then on top of it, the injuries that I got from falling down the stairs just put me in a situation where I couldn't function. I couldn't even continue physical therapy. Well, actually, I obviously had to discontinue physical therapy from the fall down the stairs in order to have surgery. But my plan was to recover from surgery and then slowly integrate my physical therapy, because I wasn't done. I wasn't healed from those injuries completely. So I ended up being so limited in my life. I felt like total crap. I did. I felt like complete and total crap. I couldn't really function well. I couldn't keep up with my housework as my standards dictated at the time. I felt again like a loser of a mother because I couldn't have time with my child, activities at school, the different things that came up. I felt like I was coming into isolation again, because even though I had a few people in my life at this point that cared enough to come and visit and check up on me and, well, I'll help you with the laundry, I really didn't want them here because all I could do is just lay there and be miserable. And then I'm the type of person that if you come to my house, I'm going to serve you. I'm going to care for you. I'm going to provide you with food, with drink, and make sure that you are well taken care of. So I guess you could say it was my pride, my ego was getting hurt because people would come over and then I'm sitting there like a sack of potatoes. It wasn't a happy moment in my life. Eventually, my husband, who has been, like I've said before, an amazing support throughout all of these weird things and challenges, said, hey, I found a chiropractic doctor who thinks he could help with your situation. I was like, what? And I'm incredulous. I'm like, does he know about endometriosis? Does he know how to deal with blah, blah, blah? And I'm like asking all these questions, giving attitude to my husband. And he's like, look, just give it a chance, please. You look miserable. You look like you're in so much pain. There's nothing else I can do. Please, just please be open to chiropractic care. You did that before in your car accident and you said that it helped you. And this doctor apparently has a better patient feedback than your previous chiropractor. So please, can we just give it a try? And I was like, fine, let's go. Do not regret that decision. Most amazing thing I could have done in my life was to go back to chiropractic care because it provided relief of joint pain and muscle tenderness and muscle soreness and muscle achiness that, I can't really describe. Like the description I can give you isn't even, it's not going to do justice to how well this doctor was able to manipulate my body and relieve pain and pressure from it. Let me just put it this way. After surgery, I was suffering from severe constipation. The day that I went to see him, I had gone, I think it was my second or third day. And since I had a bowel movement. And at that time in my life, my bowel movements were coming like once a week. Every 7 or 8 days, I'd poop. So that was some serious shit. Like, it just really bad. So I think it was the third day since I had my last bowel movement. I went to see him. I did leave a little more tender and pained than when I came in. But by the time I got home, I had a bowel movement and it was painless. A painless bowel movement, something that I hadn't experienced in about close to 6 to 7 months. So that right there told me this guy knows what he's doing. I got to keep up with this. So I was going regularly, and slowly and surely it improved my health. It improved my tolerance for pain, I want to say, because I didn't feel so run down, so like cloudy is the best way that I can describe it. Like, just my body felt clouded or cloudy. And so that was amazing. Then I went back to physical therapy just to finish from the injuries that I had before. So in conjunction, both things, phenomenal. I really felt well. I was still dealing with a lot of chronic pain with the endometriosis and the healing from surgery. But once I started the chiropractic care, and that started helping so much, and then I finished my physical therapy, then I continued my chiropractic care. I started becoming a little more active and walking a little more often, and just being able to function a little better and not needing pain medication so much. I got off of the narcotic pain medication, and that in of itself was amazing, because the side effects that I was receiving or feeling from narcotic pain medication in itself was just a whole nother slew of problems. So, once I stopped those, that stuff went out the window, and I felt better because of that. So all these little tiny things that I started doing for myself, that each on its own alleviated either symptoms, pains, or aches. I was able to rest a little bit better. I mean, I still wasn't sleeping through the night. I would wake up with migraines or a leg cramp or hip pain or what have you, but I wasn't waking up every 5 to 10 minutes. I would sleep for 2 or 3 hours, wake up, I have to move, go get a drink of water, whatever, and then come back to bed and sleep for another 2 or 3 hours. So I was resting a little more, therefore I was feeling a little bit better. Around that time, I remember discussing with my husband about the fact that something in my life felt like it was missing. I felt like I was incomplete. And I remember he was like, "Yeah, me too. I feel that same way." And our daughter overheard us talking, and she was like, "Yeah, I feel like something's missing from our family." And we obviously all knew what it was. It was just the fact that we were in denial, that we couldn't bring ourselves to say, having a little brother or sister would be great, or having another child would complete our family. It was a very sore subject for the three of us. So I brought up the idea of adopting a dog. Maybe adopting a dog would be a good idea. It would bring us closer together, because we would have to care for this animal and for its well-being. And it would provide companionship to my child, who's growing up without a sibling, and we don't have cousins close by that she can, grow up with, and her friends from school and activities from school, were so minimal, because I couldn't commit to anything at that time in my life. If I would say like, "Oh yeah, we'll go for a play date on Saturday," and then Saturday came and I was not well, I'd have to cancel. I didn't want to put her through all of that. She had already experienced some of that, and it was taking a toll on her. So I didn't really want to put her through all of that. So we went ahead, we decided to adopt a dog. We were looking for a lab, and we got a lab German Shepherd mix from the shelter. We named her Lola, and she inadvertently became our family therapist and my endo therapist. I call her my endo therapist because she gets me. She knows my body better than I think I will ever know it. We realized that after she came home with us, we brought her home, and we started, I'm obviously going to be the main caregiver, because I'm always home. My husband is off at work and my daughter's off at school. So when they come back home, they're not going to have as much time with the dog as I do. And this is why she became my endotherapist, because even on the days that I was not feeling well and I couldn't go walk for 2 or 3 miles, I could just go right up the block and come back, she was getting me out of the house. We were walking, at a decent pace, and I'd get a cramp and have to slow down and kind of like, to catch my breath. She was cool with that. She adjusted to my needs very easily, and I was able to adjust to her needs very easily. So she kind of helped me to face this pain challenge when it comes to endometriosis in such a very small but such significant way. Like, it sounds kind of contradictory, but it's kind of like we got each other immediately. And then as the time progressed, and I did in 2012 have more bad days than good, we were emotionally recovering from everything we had been through, and it was all thanks to the process of becoming dog owners. We never owned a pet in our lives. We knew nothing of dog ownership. So having to learn everything, research things, start training classes with our dog, it really slowly brought us together, but it gave me a sense of purpose. I have purpose with my family, with my husband, with my daughter, but they're independent on their own. And as my daughter grows up and becomes more self-sufficient, she's not going to need me as much. But a dog is always going to need me. They're just going to become in tune with me as a human being. And I'm not going to have a choice but to become in tune with this animal, this dog. So it became a cycle of support that we realized only recently. At the time, we didn't realize that this was going on. It was just happening on its own. And as I realized that Lola was keeping me more active than not, even on the days where I couldn't walk her, I'd be sitting outside and my daughter would walk her, and I would supervise because I didn't feel comfortable leaving, my child out there alone in the world walking a dog. I can't do that. This is my treasure and I've got to protect it as far as I can. So as much as I can and as far as I can and as long as I can, I will protect my little treasure. So, I would sit outside, catch a little bit of fresh air, and my daughter would walk the dog, and, it was great. So it was really bringing us together and showing us new ways to live within our limits. And not because it was like a family limit. It was my own limits. I couldn't do certain activities. I couldn't go certain places or do certain things. Therefore, it affected my little family, and they kind of had to step back and go like, oh, well, we want to do this, but she can't. So I guess we'll all stay home. Like things like that. And eventually we stopped settling for a life that was not invigorating. We really started looking forward to doing things. And, a whole lot of other challenges presented themselves, but we slowly did learn that it's okay to slow down and live in that moment. This moment right now is a good moment and it's not painful. I'm going to enjoy it. I don't have to be sad about living with endometriosis because right now I feel pretty good. I slowly learned to allow myself time to heal when I needed it, and that when I was feeling well, I could do the things that needed to be done or the things that I wanted to. Slowly, it really did start to help with the depression and the isolation, and it brought on a new aspect to my life that I never thought was going to be possible because I was so wrapped up in wallowing in self-pity for so long that I never thought I could kind of shake it off. And there are days where I still struggle, but I've learned that it's totally cool. That set of dishes will be washed when I'm well. If I'm not well, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to get some rest, and I'm going to be all right. And I don't think that these things could have happened as fast in our lives had it not been for our dog Lola. In life, we're often placed in front of a situation that we feel like we can't overcome it. But that's only true because we're being ready to face this challenge in a way that we know won't work. It can be very difficult to learn new ways to work within your new limitations, but it can totally be done. You just don't realize how amazing of a human being you are until you have to, I don't want to say reinvent yourself, but it's really to look within and realize that you have the capability to overcome challenges. I would say, just from my own personal experience, that the first aspect of facing a challenge, when you, especially because, this deals with, everything surrounding chronic illness, specifically endometriosis, it is very difficult to know that you're not who you used to be, that people turn their back on you, that you slowly feel like you're wasting away. It is so difficult. And it's almost a grieving process. You're basically mourning the loss of the life you once had. But look for a way to overcome it. Allow yourself the time to cry. Allow yourself the moment to feel anger. Allow yourself the moment to go through denial. Go through those, all those aspects of grieving. And then when you can close those small chapters and slowly and steadily move on, start looking for support, whether it be with a friend or a family member, a coworker. It could be an online forum or a support group, a social group. Look for a way where you're going to be motivated from an outside source. Because once you receive that motivation and it starts feeding that positivity into your life, then you start growing. It's like planting a seed of positivity within your very being. And then once it starts flourishing, those days that are challenging, where you feel pain or you feel like, oh my gosh, I suck as a human being. I used to be able to do this and now I can only do that. Once those days come by, where it's almost like the waves of an ocean. At first, they come crashing down on you. You can't overcome. You feel like you're drowning, like you can't come up for air soon enough. But eventually, you learn to float. I know that I'm simplifying it, but once you have that moment where you're growing this positivity in your life, those challenges, those moments of sadness, moments of isolation, moments where you feel like you might not be worth it or nothing in life is worth it, become easier to overcome. And that's why I'm sharing my story with you, because I've been there. I know what it's like to not want to be around people. I know what it's like to hate the ones you love. I know what it's like to hate yourself, to feel like your life and your existence has become truly worthless and there's nothing positive that you can bring and you might as well be dead. I've been there. I know what that's like. And I'm here to tell you that once you've cried it all out and you've run out of tears, you must get up and start working on yourself internally. Because we as humans are able to have the capabilities, have an innate sense of achieving, overcoming battles, challenges, situations that at one point we were not ready to confront. But once you get rid of all that negativity, you can overcome it. You can do it. You can do it. It's been very challenging for me personally to have a disease that has no cure, to live in constant pain every day. I went from pain every once in a while on a period to pain every once in a while that ended me in the hospital, to pain that came and went as it pleased outside of my monthly cycle, to pain that's there all the time. All the time. There aren't good days. There aren't bad days. There are just tolerable days and intolerable days. Because I'm always in pain. I'm always uncomfortable. I'm always dealing with some sort of something that endometriosis has brought to my life that I don't want. But that is not going to stop me from living my life to its fullest to realize that my life is worth it and that I am an important human being, that I love and care for those around me, and that those around me love and care for me as well. When all of this YouTube stuff started, I did it because many people suggested, like, hey, you're so cool at doing the makeup, you should share your tips. And I was like, okay, sure, I'll do it. But then eventually, as I found the support group online with the Endometriosis Research Center, and women were sharing their stories of their journey with endometriosis, I realized that I needed an outlet for my creativity. Number one. Number two, I needed a way to make money to save for excision surgery, and realizing that I am worth excellent medical care. I deserve it, and even if I can't afford it, I'm going to get it. How? I don't know. That's how I felt when I started this entire YouTube thing, and that's how Mrs. Glamour Chick was born. But over the years and over the time, many people are like, oh, well, if you need the money, just, set up a GoFundMe. And I was like, oh, I don't know, because I found the specialist and he's out of network. My insurance won't cover it, and this and that, and the travel is going to cost me like $30,000 out of pocket to get this surgery. How am I going to set up a GoFundMe to ask people in worse financial situation than I am to donate money to me through GoFundMe? I would rather earn it. So as I went through YouTube and started defining my process and, my audience and what I wanted to do in the long run, Glamour Nails by Leda was born. And I started selling the press-on nails. And as of right now, I've raised enough money to go see my specialist. And not only can I go see the specialist, they take my insurance, so it's not going to cost me an arm and a leg and, a second mortgage on my house to be able to get medical care. It's not going to be as expensive. I still have to deal with all the, calling here and there and dealing with the insurance company to find out an actual cost or at least an estimate. But I can have my consultation, which I'm going to have in a few weeks. And, my press-on nail business, Glamour Nails by Leda, is being very successful, and it's going to help me pay for my medical care. And I just need to raise a little more funds. And I finally gave in and set up the GoFundMe to get me there. If you are able to donate, I will be deeply grateful and so thankful for your donation to help me achieve this goal. I'm looking and hoping to have surgery this summer. So once I get more information on, when that will happen, I'll let you guys know. I'm not sure how it will affect video production for my YouTube channel, or how it could affect, my press-on nails. Like if you do orders while I'm recovering for surgery, I don't know that you're willing to wait, a month and a half for me to recover for you to get your nail set in the mail. So, once I get more information and figure out how to work all of this around this little venture, then I will let you guys know. For the meantime, I'll share my GoFundMe. And if you're not able to make a small donation, all I ask is that you please share my link with everyone you know, because even if I can't raise all the money that I need, at the very least, you've shared my story, which means that you've helped raise awareness for endometriosis, and that is one of my ultimate goals. Links to everything will be in the description box below. There's a bunch of resources out there for us and for our loved ones to learn about endometriosis, so I'll place all that information below. It's all the resources that I have used to help me in my journey, so I hope it could help for your journey. Just so you guys know, the next video on my Endo story series is going to go up on May 30th, is the last Monday of May, so that will be available then. I thank you very much for tuning into my channel today and listening to my story, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!